Welcome to Born on the Bayou Sports, a Houston sports show made for Houstonians by Houstonians. Join Tim Costello and Scott Barzilla every week as they break down the latest in Houston Astros, Rockets, and Texans news. Tim's a former minor league broadcaster, and Scott has written 2 books on the Baseball Hall of Fame. Yeah, if Javier could get it figured out, it would make things a lot easier because he was that guy everybody was counting on this year to be a Cy Young candidate, take that big step forward and help anchor this rotation with Fromber.
Since he's come to Houston, you can look at the development of guys like Carlos Correa defensively, Jeremy Pena defensively. I mean, you can Alex Bregman's, certainly I think a better than average third baseman.
And now you're putting teams in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9. Now here comes Will Anderson. Pin back your ears, let's go. So if you're Bayou born and bred, or just like spending time in the H, sit down, relax, and stay Houston strong. Welcome, all my friends, to the podcast that once again is back from our winter break. Hello, merry belated Christmas, and welcome to all our Born on the Bayou listeners. Scott, welcome back in. I hope you enjoyed your week off.
Yeah, we did, and we got maybe a year in review that we can throw in here since it is the day New Year's Eve here.
It is a little bit of New Year's Eve. The podcast has, I don't know. I feel like we are probably due for a refresh in the new year. We've had our same design scheme for the entire year. The Astros didn't make the playoffs this season. After I had changed it up, maybe it's time to, I don't know, change things up a little bit, Scott.
Could be.
Well, Scott, I have an opening question for us this week, with it being Christmas. I am wondering, Scott Barzilla, what was your favorite Christmas present of all time? Was it a young Scott coming downstairs, seeing something Santa left, or maybe something your wife and child got for you? What was just number one?
So looking back, and this is going to date me, Tim, and I just have to deal with it. My daughter calls me old, so I just
mine too.
Got to deal with it, right? So I remember it was about maybe 3rd or 4th grade, and it was actually upstairs because they had plugged it into a TV that we had upstairs in the office. It was a ColecoVision, Tim.
I'm sorry, what, Scott?
Have you heard of ColecoVision?
I have not heard of ColecoVision.
Of course you haven't. ColecoVision lasted, it didn't even make it out of the 80s, Tim. So this one, though, had an Atari adapter. So you could play all the Atari games and the ColecoVision. And the ColecoVision game that came with it was Donkey Kong. So I'm sure that helps date it for you, because I'm sure you've played Donkey Kong.
Is that like thing you put like the helmet in? Like it was like almost like a virtual reality goggles that you put on, and it had like a tripod?
Tim, you're taking 20 years off my life. No, that would have been in the 2000s. No, this is 80s. I mean,
no, this was like a Nintendo product that came out a long time ago.
Nintendo didn't exist.
Nintendo has existed since the 1800s as a card trading company, my friend.
But Nintendo, the video game system, did not exist. So Donkey Kong was an 80s game where Mario has to save not a princess, but just a woman from a gorilla.
Yeah, he was throwing barrels and shit.
Yeah, that's the game. So I ended up getting that. And I got the first Nintendo, and that was kind of cool, but nothing matched that feeling of the ColecoVision.
I'm going to have to Google this thing, Scott. Is that spelled with a C or a K?
It's a C.
All right. ColecoVision's going to get looked up.
ColecoVision.
I had some amazing Christmases. A PS2, an N64, an Xbox 360 one year. But to me, I will never forget the year I came down and the Batcave was in my living room, Scott. I was a big action figure kid, and it had the Batcopter, the Batmobile, the Batboat, zip line from like the mansion to the bottom of the Batcave. And man, I must have played with that setup for hours. It was right after the Val Kilmer Batman movie came out, and there were just accessories and toys galore for that movie. I mean, it was made almost exclusively for the toys, and I feel like I got all of them that Christmas, and it was unbelievable. I drove that Batmobile all over our house.
You know what kills me, Tim, is I had the original toy Millennium Falcon, and I had all those Star Wars action figures.
Worth a pretty
And
penny now.
yeah, and I didn't save them. I don't know where they're at.
I know exactly where mine are. They're probably bought for about 25 cents a piece at garage sales that my mom put out. We were big garage sale people. A lot of our family treasures
Mhm.
were pawned off in the garage area, driveway area of our home.
Yeah, I can imagine. All right. So, where do you want to start us off, Tim?
Let's talk a little Texans, Scott, because your Houston Texans are indeed playoff bound. And while the division is still technically alive, chances are looking pretty slim. You need the Tennessee Titans to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars in Week 18, and the Texans to take care of business at home against the Indianapolis Colts. I don't think the Texans taking business is the hard part. I think the Tennessee Titans beating the Jags is going to be tough because they have a 9-game winning streak to match our 8-game winning streak. So this is not the Jags of old, Scott. But either way, Texans are playoff bound and something to be celebrated.
We have the longest streak in the NFL, Tim, because our first win in that streak was over Jacksonville.
You actually, so it's 8. They're one behind us. Our 9 to their 8. You're right.
So I'm sure you've heard that the illustrious Garrett Riley will be starting the game that you're attending, and will not be Old Man Rivers.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed. I actually have tickets to that game. I don't know if you remember, we were supposed to go to the
Yeah.
Niners Colts game. This is the makeup ticket. So I kind of hoped, like in the back of my mind, maybe I'll get to see Philip Rivers, but I also don't want to watch a 44-year-old man beat to death in front of 60, 70,000 people because there's no way that man is getting out of the way of the freight train that is Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter meeting at the quarterback. He would have been ripped to pieces, Scott.
Well, and we'll talk about violence, and our appetite for it. But I was going to say, I'm not going to hat tip them here, but I have to hat tip Fubo, because I had to sit there and one of the responsibilities I have at Battle Red Blog and responsibilities we all have is that we participate in a chat session during the game. So I've got my phone set up on chat. I got my iPad set up on the game because we were watching Army and whoever Army was playing. And I don't control the TV at my in-laws, and that we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the broadcast. And it's just one of those uncomfortable things. If I could cast it onto their TV, as we were talking off air, but I don't think that would go over well. So
I think you play dumb. You do it and then go, "What's happening? Oh my God! Oh, hey, the Texans! Oh wow! Okay, all right."
Because unfortunately, they have a Fire Stick, and they're flummoxed when it doesn't work with the voice operated, and we're just like, and Janet and I are both like, just give us the remote. We'll do this. We'll find this thing for you. And so, yeah, we end up finding a show, which we'll talk about later on in this episode here of.
I always think my parents are pretty bad. Like my parents are not great with technology, but you forget like it can always be worse, right? like holy shit, man, like to not be able to get anything outside of what you could say into your remote. That's pretty rough. But hey, At least you got to watch the game. I am also thankful for your Fubo subscription. You not only keep it open in the chat, you keep it open in the podcast, and we appreciate that, Scott.
Yeah, and I have to say my parents have their own struggles with technology. They're still on the direct TV because that's all they know.
At least fuck it. At least they know that's what they need, right? Like,
right. And well, because they can't get the home internet really to work well, so and of course they brought out the AT&T people, and the AT&T people are befuddled, and they're equally befuddled. So, what are we going to do?
I mean, quite frankly, more old people should probably just stay with cable. Like, there's really no reason for them to fuck with it. Like, is it really worth learning at this point? Is it really
Yeah.
worth learning how to stream? Are you gonna sit there and binge watch Stranger Things at 80 years old? Not stay with fucking cable.
Yeah, absolutely. My daughter's into the Stranger Things. I never got into it.
I have not gotten into it either. My wife is a big watcher, Scott, but not my jam. I like to laugh. I like to watch a good situational comedy if I can.
So, my thoughts on the game, and watch the whole thing, managed to watch the whole thing on Fubo, is, and see if this rings any bells, Tim. Just get to 20. Just get to 20. And it doesn't matter how you do it. You could score all 20 in the first quarter, or you could fumble about for 3 quarters and then get to 20 in the fourth. And so, we've said it before and we said it again, it seems to work every week. I just wonder, when is it going to stop working?
I don't think it is. I feel like I think you're probably going to end up agreeing with me. If the Texans offense scores exactly 20 points in every single playoff game that they play, they're in the Super Bowl.
I don't know. So let's play this out, right? So you would assume we're the 5th seed, right? You assume we win and Jacksonville wins, correct?
Let's assume that's fine.
So in the first round, you end up playing the winner of the Pittsburgh Steelers and Baltimore Ravens game. Do you have a preference there?
Steelers.
Yeah, Baltimore, you got a few of the. That obviously depends on a healthy or not healthy Lamar Jackson, but we'll give you. So
we just don't play well in Baltimore as a team. We never have. Like, I feel like it's a house of horrors for us. I'd much rather go into. I mean, the Steelers are not a good offensive team, period. Right? Like, they're a fucking mess. So I'll take our chances there.
So if we assume a victory in Pittsburgh, which I hate to assume,
but let's say it. If you hold Pittsburgh under 20, you win.
I think you can hold Pittsburgh under 20 very easily based on what I've seen. Who do you see as the number 1 seed? Because that's who you would play.
Pats.
Do you see holding the Pats under 20?
Yeah.
I
see Drake May. I see Drake May, like every other quarterback that's played the Texans this year, having the worst game he's had of the season. Like, I mean, we did it to Josh Allen. We did it to Herbert from the Chargers. We did it to Baker Mayfield, held him at like 200 yards. We did it to like literally every major quarterback we've played this season. Bo Nix had a shit day. So who's had a good day against us?
Let's game this out. So beating New England, which would take you to a place you've never been, the AFC Championship game. Who do you see winning between Denver and Jacksonville?
Jacksonville.
Oh.
I really don't think Bo Nix is going to like ball out in the playoffs. I really don't. And I think this is a better Jacksonville team. I like their head coach a lot. Cohen's a great head coach, I feel like. I think we're a better team than Jacksonville, but I very well could see a scenario where it's an AFC South AFC Championship game. Could you not?
That'd be interesting.
Like I hate the Jags as much as the next guy as a franchise, but we have to be realistic. Looking at this Jacksonville team, they're a good football team. Like they are playing excellent football, and yes, we handed them a game in the early in the season. We probably should have won more in control of the division, but either way, they'd be making the playoffs either way. They're getting great quarterback play this season from Lawrence. Finally, they've got a mix of receivers that fit him, and their defense is playing pretty damn well too. So I could definitely see a scenario where we are headed to Jacksonville for an AFC Championship game, which is, in my opinion, a best case scenario because then you don't have to play in cold weather.
What I find interesting is that if we take off the rose-colored glasses, so to speak, are we not just another version of the Denver Broncos?
We have better offensive pieces. They have a better offensive coach. We have a slightly better defense just because of our secondary.
But if you look at both teams, obviously
they're going to try and win the same way.
Jacksonville beat them, but other than that, Denver's been winning games the same way the Texans have. And they've been winning games where you sit there at the end, you wonder how in the hell did this team just keep winning games like this, including the game against us, where you looked at their offensive performance and you're like, man, they sucked the game pretty.
And that's why I'm not scared of Denver. If we had CJ Stroud was humming along until he got hurt.
I'm not scared of anybody. I just think you're going to need more than 20 points at least once.
And I could agree with that at least maybe one time, but I don't think you need more than 20 to beat Denver. I don't think you need more than 20 to beat Pittsburgh. I don't think you need more than 20 to beat Jacksonville. I think if you beat Jacksonville, it's like a 2017 game. I don't think you need
New England's where I don't.
More than we've shown you don't need more than 20 to beat the Chargers.
Yeah, I don't think the Chargers are going to be an issue.
I'm just saying those are your AFC playoff teams.
The
Patriots are the one.
The Patriots are the only ones I'm not sure. So, not ignoring in victory what we would ignore in defeat. Like, what was your biggest question mark coming away from that game?
I thought again some of the play calling was extremely questionable. The answer to the blitz seemed to just be find whoever's one-on-one and chuck it deep and let them try and go make a play. And at no point do we have like a fucking hot route or anything. Like, I'm no expert. Okay. I play a little Madden. Okay. I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying there's a play that I switch to when I see a blitz coming. And when I throw it to the running back in the flat, really quick throw when the blitz comes and from the side of the blitz. And that way, a little fucking hot route and you got some open space. Instead, like, we just threw fucking deep balls every time. So I thought the play calling, like, you took some great, like, boom, boom, great shots early. And then it's like, whoa. We only need 20. You and I were joking. It's like, we only need 20. Let's fucking ease it off a little bit. We don't need to blow our fucking wad in the fourth quarter, boys. Like, no, go step on their fucking throats.
Yeah, I think what bugged me, obviously the Dalton Schultz penalty came at a horrible time. And he was provoked, but you're never going to get the first guy, right? What bothers me, though, I think systematically over the course of all these weeks is DeMeco Ryans does a very poor job of clock management at the end of halves. And very poor, decision-making on should we make a run for scoring points here or should we, and this goes back to the Denver game, right? Because we could have just gone to overtime against Denver and he's sitting there thinking, I've got Davis Mills. Let's go. Let's ride, bro. Let's go. And you're like, really? And then, and this is a game, you're starting the ball from what you're one. And D'Amico, after one good run, is like, let's go, let's score some points. And CJ Stroud throws the pick, and you're lucky in that the kick, a Pro Bowl kicker named Dicker, perfect name for a kicker, ended up missing a key field goal, which is another point that I think a lot of people are going to point out, that you keep having these lucky events. But, that's part of what happens, when teams win, is other team. I mean, Belichick used to say that for years. Don't get in the way of other teams screwing themselves. And that's what the Chargers did. But why are you trying to go for points then when you have it like less than a minute on your own 20 after a 19-yard run? Just clock it. Get out of there.
No, I tend to agree with you there, because the MO is protect the football, let the defense win you the game. That's been the MO, I feel like, of the play calling, right? Like, we've all kind of accepted, hey, we're not going to quite, it's just like turn CJ loose. Like, what we need is a more athletic Matt Schaub, realistically, right? Like, we need a guy who's going to protect the football, hit the fucking bootleg, pick up some key first downs. That's what we're looking for. But then, yeah, you go and you do that, and the first pick wasn't his fault. The first pick tipped, whatever, but the second one was just a fucking terrible. Never saw the linebacker, and just, yeah, it's a terrible decision by the coaching staff, and it was worse execution by CJ. But and then the second half, you just see basically nothing until you have to go get something, right? And then when you have to go get something, I feel like there's a different switch in CJ's brain. All of a sudden, it's no longer worrying about, let me protect the football. It's, no, I got to go make a fucking play, and he's a different player.
Well, let me ask you something. To go to your first point, which I think we shouldn't bury the lead on this. You talked about hot receivers. So when we first got Christian Kirk, what did we foresee as his role?
Slot guy, like someone helping CJ, making plays within like 5 or 6 yards of the line of scrimmage with a lot of yards after reception, realistically.
Have we seen that?
No. We've seen deep field fucking shots to Christian Kirk.
And then, of course, the backup, Jalen Noel, was supposed to be that guy if Christian Kirk wasn't that guy. Have we seen that from Jalen Noel?
No. I mean, we've seen great versions of Noel, but we have not seen the Wes Welker type play we thought we were going to get, right? Which is quick throws at the line of scrimmage, let these guys make moves and go.
So, and I'm going to say this. I think this organization, particularly, we'll say Nick Caserio and D'Amico Ryans, they have some things that they do really, really well. Like, I don't think there is a team out there that does a better job of picking guys for the secondary, particularly through the draft. Derek Stingley, Kamari Lassiter, Kalen Bullock, Jalen Petrie. All these guys, plus guys they picked this year who have actually done some good things. So this is not a thing where this organization is befuddled all the way around. I just find it interesting that there's certain spots where this team can't seem to get it right. And to me,
but that's fair. I don't think that's like, look at the Eagles, right?
Yeah.
Like, not to interrupt, but like the Eagles are an amazing offensive line drafting and developing organization. I think you and I would both agree. They're not great with wide receivers, right? Like most of their best wide receivers traditionally have been guys they've traded for. Like, realistically, Jeremy Maclin wasn't great there. He went to Kansas City, becomes a bigger superstar. They trade for T.O. They trade for Brown, the receiver from the Titans. Like to me, like every organization has areas where they're just going to be great, and that's what their calling card is, and things that they just continue to miss at. You'd like to limit those misses, but I feel like you can't ask one guy to be great at everything. I do think you can have better scouts, but whatever their process is for reviewing all position types, there's a flaw in that system for those guys.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately for the Texans, all the flaws are on the offensive end. I mean,
Yeah.
you've had problems on the offensive line. You've had problems at that slot receiver spot. They just haven't. They've had guys that they thought would make it, and sometimes they flashed, but they just don't seem to be consistent. And then center seems to be, particularly on the offensive line, but center seems to be a spot. And, I think until you had Woody Marks, I think also running back was also kind of after Arian Foster has been kind of somewhat of a black hole as well.
Especially drafting them.
Yeah.
Give Lamar Miller, I guess, some credit for his success here. I thought Lamar was pretty good considering that was another square peg round hole Bill O'Brien hammer session. Um, but no, you're right. Like in the Texans had good running games for so long. It's very frustrating to struggle in the run. Like even when we're 6-10, we ran the fucking ball well, right? It was always another area. But I do think there's some roster deficiencies, some areas in the draft, obviously that the team doesn't scout well, could do better. But you ride with the horse you came with, right? And this
I,
is our team, right? This is the way that we're built. And I truly think if this team wins, it's because the defense holds everybody under 20.
I'm
Like
gonna
that's
break some news here, Tim. I don't know.
okay.
I don't know if you came across this, and I'm sure it was shocking. But reports inside the Texans organization have said that Joe Mixon will not be returning this year.
Yeah, I saw that. That's after he got pissed at somebody for reporting that he was out for the year. You don't know my doctors. It's like, okay, all right, homeboy. Yeah, so we'll see what happens, Scott. One more game to go. I'll give you the live report when we get back. But let's talk a little Rockets Christmas Day basketball because it's been a minute since the Rockets were featured on Christmas Day, and that's a big one. To get the Christmas Day game really means going into the season that the schedule makers think a lot of your organization, think a lot of your team. They want you to be featured on the day that really truly kicks off the basketball season, as we've talked about. Yes, they've been playing for a while, but Christmas is where people really start to pay attention. And boy, did they show up! They beat the pants off of the Los Angeles Lakers, and the score doesn't even really dictate how unclose that game really was, Scott, because the Rockets just dominated.
Well, and I would say that we saw the return of Dorian Finney-Mixon. So that was so that was a nice, although he did not score or put anything on the box score.
He gave you a
Uh,
PJ Tucker stat line.
he gave it to PJ Tucker. So, but he has since scored. So unlike Reed Shepard at the beginning of the year, we're not having a Finney Mixon watch to see, if he really exists. Um, so you're 20-10, right? You had a little bit of a lull where you lost 4 or 5 games against, some kinda lackluster teams. However, if this holds, you finish 54-28. Would you be satisfied with that record at the end of the season?
Not really. Would you?
No, but let me give you some stats that might help you out there. In addition to Finney Smith returning, so you finally have a fully healthy roster, the Rockets have played 18 road games and 12 home games so far on the season.
Yeah, I did know that. We got a big stretch of home games coming.
So, and I just think I wish the NBA would just get rid of back to backs because I mean I just don't think it's. And yes, it's a selfish because the Rockets are winless on the back end of the back to back so far this season. 0-3 on those. But I just don't think you see the best product of basketball. And I think if the NBA wants the best product to be out there, let's put our best foot forward and get rid of these back to backs because you're also going to see less load management because I think every team's going to do it. I mean, we're doing it, with our big men, but other teams are going to do it with some of their older stars as well.
I do tend to agree with you. I know from a logistics standpoint, a little bit tougher, but and I'm sure it was a nightmare the season I'm thinking of, but in when was the lockout? It was probably 2012, 2013, something like that.
Yeah.
When they finally came back and played that 50 game season, they played like every other day. And and it was from a fan's perspective, it was great because it was just consistent. And to me, back to backs are so dumb because you'll play a back to back and then you'll have 5 days off or 4 days off in between a game. And again, I understand that there are a lot of moving parts in a schedule, but everyone brags about how they use AI in their company and all these other things. Like, you're telling me you can't go into Chat GPT and say, like, hey, I want a 82 game schedule. Here are the games, here are the divisions, here's the rules of making the schedule on how often everybody plays each other. It needs to, be no back to backs, end at this day, start at this day. I need to have this many games per night on these days, whatever it is, right? Whatever your parameters are, put it in there and let it go to work. But whatever we're doing now is, I agree, back to backs are not needed. Like, we're not in the days of tough travel anymore, right? Where you're like, oh, we're in the Northeast, we got to bang out some fucking games because they're only a train ride away, and we can go from Boston to New York in a 2 hour train ride. We can play those games. Like, who? No, no. And we know these guys are going out afterwards, right? Like, you're in fucking New York, you play a game, you're not going to go out afterwards, and then you play the second game of the back and back, and not everybody's James Harden, where they can go fucking ball out in the club and then ball out on the court.
Well, I was going to tell you a little bit of a tidbit. I know you usually save this kind of talk for later on in the show, but you know what AI has managed to do, Tim?
What's that?
It has brought actual truth to Truth Social. So they have released their own AI, and you can ask Truth Social AI questions what Donald Trump lies about all the time, and it'll actually tell you the truth.
It's pretty great. It's pretty great, Scott.
But anyways, yeah, so I think the schedule maker, kind of, dealt us some bad, and every team goes through it, right? Oklahoma City had lost what, one game through the first 20,
Hmm.
and now they got 5 losses. So, these things happen. Teams are going to go through these stretches where things are just not quite working out. I do think um, we're seeing an emergence from Jabari Smith, which I think is obviously a positive. I think we're seeing an emergence from, all year from Reed Shepard. And I think obviously Amen Thompson has parts in his game that he needs to grow considerably, but he is growing. I mean, he has hit some threes this year, not nearly at the percentage you would like, but some.
And he's willing to take them at least, right? Like, sometimes even if you miss it, you have to take that shot. It's in rhythm. It's in the offense. Like, if you don't take it, they stop respecting that position on the floor. And so he has at least grown there. He seems to know, like, I have to at least put this up and get a good look at it. Otherwise, they're just going to give me so much fucking space I can't do other parts of my game.
Right. And so I feel like, we've got obviously Alpi's been hurt the last couple of games, so we're not completely healthy. But you're able with the depth that you have in your two backup bigs, you can make it through those kinds of games. You just can't do it on a back to back, because if you have a day where Alpi's out, then all of a sudden you got your other big guy out, and you got a lot of Clint Capella.
Absolutely. And while it's not the worst thing in the world to have a game with a lot of Clint Capella, you don't want to rely on that too often. It's not the way this roster was built. If Clint gives you 12 to 13 minutes a night, like, you're like, wow, that was a lot of Clint. So
Mm.
yeah, like, he's there for four back to backs, so you could rest one of the other two guys. But no, I tend to agree with you. I still think that point guard is missing. As great as Reed Shepard has been, I still envision him playing more of a JJ Redick type role, Scott. I think he's a guy that you run around high ball screens all over the court and let him just get good fucking looks. Like, do you see him developing into that point guard that we need, or are you still of the opinion that he's a shooter?
I think if given time, he could be functional, but we don't have that time. I mean, this is a team that's built to win right now. If this is a team that instead of being 20 and 10, we're 10 and 20, who gives a shit? Just, rolling the ball, let them learn on the job, which is what they ended up doing with Jalen Green. They tried it. What I wonder, and I saw they moved Oki to the bench in place of Tari Eason. That's kind of an interesting move.
Yeah.
I'd like to see how that develops because you're asking Amen Thompson to be a point guard in that situation. I, like you, in February, I think they're getting a point guard. I think it's just a question of what level point guard are they going to get?
I agree with you. You need something. I truly think you need something. Um, I think it was a roster deficiency, even if a healthy Fred Van Vliet was there to not have a backup. It was a roster deficiency last year to not have a backup point guard. Um, I just don't think that's the type of player Reed is. I think Reed is an NBA player. I think he's an asset. I think he shoots the three ball very well. And I think we were wrong on him as a shooter, definitely. But I don't think you and I would agree, that third quarter stretch, really a pinch of the second and a good chunk of the third, where games just get out of control for the Rockets, where they just need a veteran point guard to, for 10 minutes, really just fucking slow things down. Like, it didn't have to be a race the entire game. Like, take your opportunities to get a run, absolutely. But sometimes the Rockets just overrun themselves and they don't know when to slow it down and when to just work with the fact that they have a 20-point lead and take up 12 or 13 seconds and get good looks every single time. As much as people hate on Chris Paul, it felt like the one thing he did was keep everybody in rhythm because he always got them good looks. It's tough to shoot over 5 when you've got 5 good looks in a row.
Okay, so a couple of random questions here, Tim. So if we consider Oki to be out of the rotation, which I think, so far he has been since Tari Eason has come back and since Finney Smith has come back. So you'd agree we have like basically a 9-man rotation?
Yeah.
So the question is, in order to get your point guard, you're going to have to deal from that 9-man rotation, or can you get anybody for the Aaron Holidays of the world?
That or the buyout market.
I mean, because the other part of it too is that right now you mentioned a guy, Chris Paul is in limbo right now. He's not with the Clippers, but he is officially under contract with the Clippers.
Correct.
Would you be okay with him being that 10-minute per game point guard?
Possibly.
I mean,
I want to know if he's okay with that because that was the problem with the Clippers is they expected him to be a 10 or 12-minute last guy on the bench guy, and he comes in like it's 2014 Chris Paul, barking at everybody, all the other things, which I'm not opposed to if it's in line with the coaching staff. I am opposed to it if you're doing what he was doing, which was undermining the coaching staff.
You're freewheeling, yeah, and so because I think he's the kind of player you could get for one or two of those guys that are not a part of that 9-man rotation, and I think you could get him. I don't know how much he has left in the tank, but I think he could probably still defend decently, and I think he's going to make good decisions with the basketball, at the very least.
No, I tend to agree with that. Chris Paul can still hit a open 15-footer. There's no doubt in my mind if you leave Chris Paul open in the mid-range, he will knock it down. There's no doubt in my mind if he played 10 to 15 minutes a game, they'd be good minutes, right? Like, I think the biggest issue is he's not a 35-minute a game player anymore. I don't need him to be. But I think you and I would both agree there's probably 2 5-minute spurts second quarter and third quarter, where the Rockets just need somebody to fucking slow it down,
Or
and maybe a little bit in the beginning of the fourth quarter.
yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah, it
But I don't
depends.
need him at the end of a game. I don't need him out there with 5 minutes left in the game, right? We've got our horses. We don't need him in those situations. And if he comes in and him and Ime are on the same page and he wants to be a coach on the floor for 12 minutes a night and help the young guys and help Reed develop a little bit, yeah, I'm all for that. But he has to accept that role because that's what he was supposed to be doing in the Clippers, and he didn't do that.
Well, I think what you need is a guy who, and I hate to make this comparison because I don't like the organization, but it's very much like a Patriots kind of thing where they ran a game plan offense. And so some weeks they're running the ball 40 times, and some weeks they're passing the ball 40 times. And I think what you have with this Rockets team is you have enough versatility and you have enough depth where minutes can be parceled out depending on the night and what the need is. So there's some nights where you might not need Chris Paul for more than 6 or 8 minutes or any other point guard. Then there's some nights where you need him for 20,
Yeah.
just based on what it dictates. And you said not at the end of the game, but there's some times where at the end of the game you do need that, just depending on who the opponent is. Like there's some opponents that are better at trapping the ball than others. And you've noticed when we don't have a primary ball handler on the floor, we kind of tend to struggle in those organizations because I think Kevin Durant has good handle for a 7-footer, but that's for a 7-footer.
Right.
You need somebody who's, a better handler when you have those trap moments. And not every team is good at doing that.
No, I tend to agree with you. He is good for a 7 footer. Amen is good for a guy of his size. You still there's no one like a point guard, right? Your general on the court, and Fred was crucial for this offense. I don't think we realized how much until he's gone. But let's give some awards out, Scott. I know we've got a long list of them. Let's start with who you want to pop. Pow, right in the kisser. What do you
Okay,
have for us this week?
based on what I saw on Saturday, but also based on the whole year and what is to come, I am punching the NFL officials in the face. Now, because of my personal situation, Tim, I was watching that game on Fubo and I had it on the mute button. So I didn't have a chance to hear commentary or whatnot. There was one play where on the Chargers' second touchdown, where we had a sack on the 12-yard line. And then I look up and they have first and goal on the 5. And I'm like, what the hell? How did this happen? Then, there's a different play where, who was it that sacked your backup defensive end who got called for tripping?
Oh, yeah. Settle?
And
Or was
it wasn't Settle. It was is the guy that sometimes moves inside when they have
I know who you're talking about.
um,
Barnett.
it wasn't Bart. It was the other guy.
Okay, then I got
No, I
Mario.
got nothing on that, but that's okay because he ended up getting a sack the very next play. But it's like, and you saw him. It's not like he just threw his leg out. His leg just happened to be there. He tripped. Then you have the illegal contact where the receiver clearly initiates contact, and they call illegal contact on the Texans. And if I'm a Chargers fan, I turn around, I'm pissed off at the illegal contact that they called on them in the last series because it almost seemed like, oh, we screwed up on that illegal contact. We better go out, we better make up this call for the Texans and call equally bad illegal contact. It's just, and it's rough and it's gotten worse. And here, labor strife is coming, Tim. The NBA officials, the NFL officials, their contract is up. They're going to want to go on strike. Remember what happened the last time that we had scab officials?
I do. Golden Tate on Monday Night Football.
Head, no tails. No, it's tails. Head. I don't know.
That was a great picture. You had one ref standing there like this, and the other ref right next to him, like at the same time.
I'm calling it on the side. It's going to land on its side, and I get possession in both halves. But it just, and so to me, how tone deaf do you have to be this bad routinely? And it said, "Damn it, we want more money. Now's the time. We want more money."
No, I don't disagree. I mean, you and I was looking back to my text. I couldn't remember off the top of my head who my pal was going to be. And it's like, I'm literally texting you, like, they're getting every call. This is fucking bullshit. Like, this is fucking bullshit. This is fucking bullshit. Like, I get it. I'm a Texans fan. But yeah, like, I don't feel like the NFL officiating is good. I don't feel like it's for I feel like we all know what's happening, right? Oh, the NFL wants to prop up a team, they get these calls. Oh, the NFL's like the Chiefs are a great example. Like they got all the calls and now they don't get the calls, and they're a fucking 500 team, and their quarterback gets hurt and they're nothing. So the difference on some of these football teams is who gets that big pass interference call late in the game, who doesn't get the call. I mean, you look back, your wife's a Saints fan. How about the game that sends the Lions to the Super Bowl, where
Oh yeah, yeah, the
one of the most
Rams.
obvious pass interferences we've ever seen, and there's no call. And
Yeah,
to say, yeah, we want more money is crazy.
well, what it is, and I think that I don't think they're fixing games per se. I think what they're doing is they're trying to say, let's keep this game as close as possible. Because let's be honest, the Texans sacked them about 8 or 9 times, and at least 3 of them were called back. So what happens if we allow those plays to stand?
It's not even a close game.
It's not a close game, but we want people to stay. And so it's almost like they sat there in their head and went like, well, we were stringing this along, so let's make a call to make sure the Texans win this game because they were clearly the better team. And on this day, they were the better team. Yeah, the Chargers missed a field goal and they missed an extra point, but I don't think it should have been that close. I think the Texans defense dominated that game pretty thoroughly. And we were sitting there joking, did the Chargers commit any penalties? I mean, it wasn't until the fourth quarter, and then all of a sudden they got like 3 or 4 penalties. Boom, 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 boom. It's like, interesting.
It was a poorly officiated game. I don't think there's any doubt about it. The Niners game on Monday night or Sunday, that one was pretty poorly officiated too. Like I just feel like I'm sitting here watching it going, that was like, again, I'm not a Niners fan. My wife is. I want them to win because she's in a good mood when they win. But like Brock's first throw of the game is a pick six. And like if you watch the play, it's like the dude shoves the receiver out of the way, then picks the ball. And it's like he clearly hits this receiver before the ball's there. And then because the receiver gets knocked on his ass, he can intercept it and run it back. And it's
well, the worst one. Did you see did you watch the Rams and Falcons game?
The which one?
The Rams and Falcons on Monday night.
I watched the end of it. We were actually watching
so
I watched a movie instead.
That last play, I think it was the last series of the game.
Yeah.
Like he's holding his arm down.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the hell?
Like that one should have been a pass interference. I thought Puka caught the ball.
I could
say what you want, but
I could see why. I think it's a stupid rule. To me, that's part of the biggest, of blaming NFL officials is how can we not know what a catch is? How does it take an act of Congress to determine what a catch is? I don't know. Okay, I've filibustered that long enough. Well, who do you got for us, Tim?
I am going to take a little bit different approach. but I still think this organizational ownership needs to be punched right in the face by every single one of their fans. The New York Football fucking Jets, man. I have cousins who are Jets fans. This team has not had a single interception this year, and they are coached by a former defensive back who had like 24 interceptions in his 8 years in with the Jets. Um, they've not been good at quarterback, and even with Aaron Rodgers there since Mark Sanchez's years there, right?
Was he really good?
But he got an AFC Championship
Yeah,
game.
he
Like,
did.
I mean, you've got one Super Bowl, and it was with fucking Broadway Joe Namath. Like, you are in quarterback limbo every fucking year, right? Like, you Robert Salah is a good fucking coach. You guys ran that guy out of town, and he's happily back in San Francisco coaching a team that has a first defensive coordinating a team that is a win away from the number one overall seed in their division or in their conference. You you draft a kid from fucking BYU who played no one because he had a good pro day. You ruin Sam fucking Darnold. You bring Brett Favre out of retirement. You had Chad Pennington. You tried Michael Vick. Like, this is a team that's had zero direction. They haven't been relevant in, I don't know. When was the Sanchez teams? Like 15 years ago?
Yeah, at least. And you mentioned during text that you saw Malik Willis going there for, what was it, 3 years, 60 million or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, I think so.
And that would be just such a Jets move. Because to me, Malik Willis has proven that he is a really, really good backup. That's what I think he's proven. I don't think I can't really, give him bona fides on his improvement in his passing after 2 football games. That's just
He
not
no,
enough.
he played well last year as well with the Packers. I mean, I think Willis is gonna get low level starter money from somebody. And I think when you look at this quarterback class in general, Mendoza's the guy at the top, right? But then after that, it's not exactly an elite class of quarterbacks. So you have to look at, do I want to pay a guy like Willis for a 3-year deal with only 2 guaranteed, and then I can still draft a guy and he can mentor him or he could just go back to that backup role, and I got a young cheap quarterback anyway. But yeah, I do see them making a move like that because that's what they did last year when they went and signed fucking Justin Fields instead of drafting a quarterback where they fucking sucked.
I would say, though, Justin Fields had nothing else available. And so if I'm Malik Willis, I'm not going to the Jets. I mean, I think to me, a good situation for him might be somebody like Arizona. I mean,
It'd be a
Arizona's going
great situation for him.
they're moving on from Kyler Murray. I don't think
Kyler Murray to the Jets.
I could see it because it's a trade, right? I mean, he has to, I'm not gonna say he has to go. I mean, he could go try and play baseball, I guess, but um, he would have to go. I just don't if you're a quarterback because that it's getting to the point where the Jets is a career killer.
Yes.
And so if I am a quarterback with options, I'm not going there.
If you're a quarterback and you're drafted the Jets in the first round, it's just like I automatically assume you're a bust, right? It's not fair to the player, but I think Sam Darnold's a great example of this was a guy who had all the tools. We saw it in college. He gets drafted to a terrible fucking organization, gets underdeveloped, and we're like, okay, guy's a bust. Then all of a sudden you go to San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan, you get good coaching. You go to Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell, you get some great offensive coaching there. Now you're in Seattle, you're getting great offensive coaching there with McDonald.
And Kubiak.
Hey, this, huh?
And Kubiak.
Yeah, and Kubiak, Clint Kubiak is up there as well. So yeah, you're getting good offensive scheming and good offensive coaching that fit what you do. Yeah, it works. That absolutely works when you've got a guy with those tools. When you draft a guy with those tools and give them a bad offensive line, give them no weapons, and say you're going to play my system. Fuck what your skills are. No, it doesn't work. And it seems to me, as much as we get frustrated with the Texans for square peg round hole bullshit, the Jets do it all the time with the quarterback position, especially. And if I'm a Jets fan, like I'm gonna fucking kill somebody.
They need new ownership, and that's that's the one guy you can't replace on your own, unless you wanted to pull a Green Bay and have the whole town of New York
I
own
mean,
it.
who needs a new owner worse to win a championship? The Jets or the Cowboys?
I think I'm going to say the Jets because I think the Cowboys at least get to the playoffs with Jerry Jones.
That's fair.
I think
That's fair.
the Jets, they're not anywhere close.
No, they are not. All right, Scott. Horse's ass. Who do you have for us this week?
Okay, I teased this earlier in the program. So I was at the in-laws. They control the TV. There was a whole thing. Their Amazon Fire Stick stopped working. We finally found the show they were looking for, Tim, and it was Body Cam. And I'm sure there's like 15 different variations of this show. So if I'm misquoting what the exact name of this show is, I apologize.
Why are you all sweaty? Watching cops?
So we're watching Body Cam, and we're binge watching this, Tim. We started watching like at 4 in the afternoon, and we got done like at 10 at night. And
Oh my god!
It was just we did interrupt for dinner. We did have dinner in between there, but my God. And so we're watching this show, and there's only, and most of these are like DUI stuff. So it's kind of funny, and we're making kind of offhand jokes because the people are obviously drunk, and it's kind of funny. But here's the one that kills me, Tim. So we're in Nebraska. Have you ever been to Nebraska?
I have actually. We played in Lincoln in the American Association.
Okay, so you can tell me, Tim, how hot does it get in Nebraska?
Pretty hot in the summer.
Is it like anywhere compared to Texas?
Like 95.
Okay, so
in Lincoln at least.
Okay, so a guy pulls over this woman who has expired, license plate registration. What's the penalty for that, Tim?
A ticket, and you can get it taken away if you just get your shit registered in time.
Okay. Well, she was one of these sovereign citizen types.
Oh, those are the best. I'm not driving, I'm traveling.
So she's like, she just said, I pay too much in taxes. It's 2 years, it's expired. I'm not changing it. I'll just pay the ticket. So because it's hot, he wants her to come out of her vehicle and into his vehicle while he, doles out everything, right? Takes all of her information. And then she decides, well, my engine's still running because you told me to get out of my vehicle. So I'm going to go kill my engine and get my cell phone. He says, no, you're not doing that. No, stop. Don't do that. She says, I'm just going to turn the engine off and get my cell phone. So he proceeds to tackle her, cuff her, of which I think she injures her arm, pulls her, puts her in the back of the cruiser, which was difficult because she was kind of a woman of size. And the supervisor comes, and he's explaining all this to his supervisor. And his supervisor's like, yeah, of course. That makes perfect sense. So here's my question, Tim. Let's say she did the whole rope-a-dope. Screw you, I'm not turning my engine off. I'm not getting my cell phone. I'm just going to get my car and run away. What would you think the appropriate action be from that point?
What would the appropriate action be, or what would the police action be?
No, what would the appropriate action be?
Enter a warrant into the system for evading arrest and call it a day?
Yeah, maybe hand deliver a ticket because you have all of her information and you have her home address.
Yeah. Probably have her driver's license in your hand at that point because he's writing up the fucking ticket.
So Instead, we tackle the woman, and everybody involved is sitting there going, yeah, yeah, yeah. And, and I think what really frustrates me about these shows is kind of the Rorschach test, which I wrote about today on Substack. I don't know if you read that one yet, but
I haven't yet. No.
but basically where you have half the people sitting there going, what the fuck? And you have the other half like, serves her right, man. Shouldn't have said no to the cops. Should have listened to what he wanted you to do. You play stupid games, get stupid prizes. And I think, when we expand this out, of course, with what ICE is doing, you get a certain segment of this population that seems to derive enjoyment from seeing people suffer. And the administration, they try to put a little bow on it. They try to say, oh, they're drug dealers. Oh, they're gang members. Oh, they're from, our president, who doesn't seem to understand the difference between seeking political asylum and a mental asylum. Oh, they're coming from mental institutions overseas. No, no, Donald. They're seeking political asylum. That's a difference. So no, these are not crazy people coming into the country. Most of these people you are arresting and you're throwing down at their workplace. You're doing it when they're showing up to court for their court date.
Yeah, fucking hearings.
You have the kids right there, and you're just like, sorry, kids, we're taking your parents. Yeah, and we've talked about all that before, but the people who derive enjoyment from that, I guess, and obviously these shows happen, body cam happens because people enjoy it. But what hits me is seeing all this goofy and stupid, thug shit when they have a body cam. What happens when they don't have a body cam? This was a white woman this guy took down. What happens when it's a person of color? These are the questions that we should be asking ourselves.
I, like every person my age, has watched Cops, right? And what you're describing is just one of the new variations of what Cops used to be, right? Because the show Cops is no longer on, but we've got 5,000 police shows that follow them around and watch them do their jobs, right? And one of the things people forget about the TV show Cops is that a lot of those arrests were overrided because the fucking show documented like violations of constitutional rights of these people, right? Including like excessive force. Also, Cops changed the minds of a lot of people into police good. If you're on Cops, you've done something wrong, right? There's no way you could live a good normal life and have an interaction with the police and have it to the level where you could be on Cops and it's your fault. I am a big fan of James Talerico, who's running for Senate for Texas, and he's actually one of the reasons they don't do those shows in Texas anymore, because every metric out there would show you there is more violence involved when a police officer knows that his stuff is going to go on TV. You said he should be worried about his body cam. In fact, he knows he's not worried about it at all because he's got the TV producers here and all these other lawyers and things like that to back him up. And they're going to fucking rough people up because it's good for TV and he can get a little bit of a reputation. And now they can be called on to Fox News as a, policing expert. And then you can go be a consultant and all these other things. Right. And all that goes with just roughing somebody up on a fucking TV show as a cop. And it's disgusting. And I'm glad at least we've gotten rid of it in Texas, but it changes how people think, Scott. It's definitely led to a crueler view of society where like we see cops like tackling people and you're like, yeah, fuck yeah, he got him. Instead of like, oh my God, why the fuck is a cop leaping across a bush and tackling somebody who has a fucking dime bag of weed? What are we doing? What the fuck are we doing?
Yeah. I mean, there was like one 34-year-old woman who in the span of a day had her kids taken away and was kicked out of the house because her boyfriend wanted her out. Boyfriend says that he hit her. She hit him. Said that she hit the kids. We didn't see any of that. We didn't see any evidence of any crime that had been committed, and the cops just decided after like 5 minutes of her getting her stuff that she had taken too long, and they were just going to throw her down and arrest her. Why? Why?
Because they can, right? Because they can. And I think you go back to parts of the population. There's a part of this population that thinks like because a cop tells you to do something, you automatically have to do it, right? And to me, I'm a believer of like, unless I'm breaking a law, unless I'm doing something illegal, you can't just make me do something, right? Like you're not my fucking dad, right? Like you're not my mom, you're not my dad, you're not my wife. You don't get to just come here and be like, drop it, give me fucking 20, I'm shooting you in the face. Like that's not how it works, right? Like I didn't sign up for this. Hello, no, fuck you. Right? Like yeah, I got yelled at in front of an Astros game once for like my grandfather when he was alive was legitimately a crazy person. Like had to stay at the VA overnight many times for medication adjustments as they called it. And he just like fucking starts walking across the middle of the street in front of an Astros game, right? Like did not go to the crosswalk. So I like chase after him to try and keep getting hit by a car. And the cop's like fucking yelling at me about jaywalking, all this other shit. Like, do you not see what I'm dealing with here, motherfucker? Like, I'm sorry if your feelings are hurt here, but you telling me that I'm not allowed to cross here is not going to keep me from chasing my grandfather out of the middle of the street so he doesn't get hit by a fucking car. So, like, I don't have to listen to you. You are not my boss. You're not anyone to me, right? Like, if I'm doing something illegal, you got me. Other than that, fuck off.
Yeah. All right, Tim. Who do you got?
Scott, want all the fucking Mills Mafia, social media motherfuckers to just go away. Every time CJ Stroud doesn't throw for 350, 3 touchdowns, and then run for another like 65 yards and another touchdown, Mills would have done better. It was we got to win, but fucking CJ Stroud sucks. Davis Mills, that's our guy. Like, and it is every fucking game, Scott. Like I get it. It's social media, whatever. You could log off, but like I enjoy interacting with fans, right? Like that's part of joining like fan forums, and like a majority of the fans in there are fun. They know football. The ones that like are new, it's a great way to like welcome fans as they ask questions and things like that. But just the fucking Davis Mills truthers, or whatever you want to call them, are some of the most annoying fucking people on the internet. Scott, we watched this man as our starting quarterback for 2 years. One of which he was the guy most of the time. He was the main guy. And you know what happened when he was the main guy? We had the second fucking worst record in the league. We were so bad that we got CJ Stroud. And there are still fucking idiots out there that talk about the lack of weapons that he had. It was the coaching, all the other stuff, which yes, weapons were different, coaching was different. I now seen Davis Mills come in relief of CJ Stroud. And you can't tell me that the ball doesn't look better coming out of CJ. The offense doesn't move better with CJ. The clutch third downs aren't better with CJ than they are with Davis Mills. Davis had a nice game against Jacksonville, probably the game of his life. He Sage Rosenfeld the shit out of that game. But I think you and I both knew Sage Rosenfeld wasn't a fucking starting quarterback. Sage had a nice game that night. He helicoptered his way to fame and he fumbled the ball.
And they lost.
Either way. And they lost. But either way, we knew like, hey, this is a great performance for a backup. Like that was like the caveat. It was a great performance for a backup. Like you've got to fucking the it's just too much, Scott. It's just too much cognitive dissonance that these fucking morons can't look at this offense run with two different guys and go, yeah, it's better with this guy. Like it's insane.
So I'm gonna, actually not an award. This is kind of a to tag on to what you're saying here. When you add fucking morons to clickbait, what do you get?
Oh my God. Some amazing comments.
So did you see the trade the Astros just made? Because we didn't talk
Oh
Astros.
my God. or the Korean player that we've signed,
Oh
or like
no,
all.
no. They just made one today.
Oh,
They traded Bryce Matthews. They
okay.
traded Spencer Arrighetti
Mm-hmm.
and one other minor league arm.
Okay.
Actually, no, it was a 4-for-1. So there's two minor league players for Mackenzie Gore.
What? Did we get robbed?
And I'm sitting here, and it's
Sorry,
like
my butthole hurts. Did we just get raped?
for most of us, we're just like, huh? And then you'll get like people like, yeah, I'm jacked. We got, it's like, no, take the extra second, go to Major League Baseball trade rumors. They report every deal that happens almost instantaneously. Take a moment and look. And
Well,
these,
just look at the website. Look at the fucking link that they posted, and
yeah,
realize
yeah,
like
it's all full of
that's not a reputable sports
all
place.
full of ads. Yeah, the Japanese player who we're going to have play third base, even though we already have two third basemen.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, just a minor thing with that. Idiots will be idiots, but why are we giving
It's the
idiots
same. I mean, there's
extra ammo?
idiots everywhere, right? Like, have you watched the Diddy documentary yet?
No, I have not caught that.
Okay, so like, is there towards the end of like one of the episodes, like Diddy's making like his comeback album, right? And to do it, he's like staying on a yacht, and the producers like living on the yacht with him, and they're like partying, recording, and the producers literally like, I would wake up and my ass would kind of hurt. I didn't really think anything of it. I'm just like, what? You didn't fucking think anything of that? Like, you're hanging out with a guy who's known of fucking drugging people, and it took it. And then he's like, well, then one time he woke up in my bed with me, and I realized we might have a problem. And I'm like, so yeah, Scott, idiots are everywhere.
Oh dear. Okay. All right. Is it time for some good vibes?
It is time for some good vibes. Who are we tipping a cap to this week, Scott?
I'm going to tip my cap to the Walter Payton award nominee for your Houston Texans, Azeez Al-Shaair. I think you saw what he meant to this defense when he wasn't there for the Raiders game. And he played one hell of a football game. So that interception that he got at the 1 yard line, probably at least changed the complexion of the first half, if not the whole game. And you can just tell a difference when he's out there. And the fact that he's a Walter Payton nominee shows that he's a good guy. There's some people where you mentioned, the idiots, the online idiots. Some people think he's a dirty guy. And, maybe there's some hits that he's had that have been, shall we say, morally questionable. But I think overall he's a really good player. And, we spend our time talking about Will Anderson. We spend our time talking about Danielle Hunter. We spend our time talking about Stingley, Lassiter, Jalen Petrie. It's time that we show him some love because at least in the linebacker room, and Henry To'oTo'o also played a really good football game, has some really good solo tackles out in the open field that plays would have gone definitely sideways had he not been there.
He's done a nice job improving his tackling. He was not always as sure handed, I guess, or as sure of a tackler in the open field as he's been this season. So To'oTo'o has done a nice job there as well. I'm going to tip a cap, Scott, to Rich Eisen. I know for a fact it is not easy to host a show, a podcast, if you may, a radio show as Rich does. Obviously, his more popular than ours, and then go have to call a game or two a year, right? Like I took quite a bit of time off between my time on broadcast. I think it was 2019 to 2024. So I had 5 years off between games that I called. And now, call a game here or there. So I know it's hard when it's not your main focus and it's not something that you can say, I'm Mark Vandermeer and I call every football game and I prepare that way. So I have to tip my cap to Rich because I think he did a phenomenal job. I think he had a great pace on the game. I think that I thought he was a straight shooter, right? Like the Texans' offense early on looked like it should be praised, and it was. And then when it looked like shit, he called it out. I thought he, praised Herbert on the plays he made, which the guy made some fantastic plays, and I thought he was very complimentary of the Texans' defense as well. And I don't think you could argue that Rich Eisen knows his shit, right? Like Rich Eisen, to me was him and Stuart Scott were the ones you woke up with every single morning, right? Um, it's cool as the other side of the pillow, as Stuart Scott used to say. But I think he did a phenomenal job. I wish people understood how hard it is to have that not be your everyday job, and then to be asked to go call a random fucking game. Prep as much as you want. Like keeping the pace of a broadcast is a feel thing. And until you've done it, to me, it like in a football season, Scott, it takes me a game or two. Like my first couple non-district games, like it takes me a minute to like get my feel of my broadcast back, and to like my timing and in and out of breaks and things like that. And it's little things like that that someone who's never donned a headset and called the game would ever think about. And so, as someone who, again, at the levels I've done it, not the same as Rich, but I also know it's daunting, and to do it at that level, on a national game, and it not be your fucking everyday job. So I just want to commend him, and um, yeah, just a hat tip for what I thought was a very well called game.
And give the guy a gold star. He runs the 40 every year.
I love
So
Rich Eisen, dude.
yeah, so hey, and he's probably running it in 6+ seconds now. But hey, that's
Does
okay.
a good interview as well. Like he doesn't just get sports guys on there. He gets actors, things like that on his show. But I think he asks great questions. Him and Dan Patrick. Dan is not as much lately. I don't listen to him as much. But there was a time where I thought Dan Patrick and Rich Eisen were the two best interviewers in sports.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, speaking of interviewers in sports, I want to pass along that I am now Facebook friends with Roy Firestone. If that name rings a bell.
It's ringing a bell, but I don't know why.
He used to have a interview show on ESPN where he would do it was like a full 30-minute show where it would be like a one-on-one interview with people.
Okay.
So
Kind of like an E60 kind of thing.
in fact, like if you watch Jerry Maguire, he's the one that's interviewing the receiver. I can't remember the character's name at the end when he announces his contract.
Rod Tidwell.
Rod Tidwell, yeah. He's the one interviewing Rod Tidwell.
Okay. Gotcha. All right, Scott, it is time for that final award. Do you have a scumbag for us this week?
I do. I am staying out of politics for this one. And I'm going to. The NCAA are just scumbags. So I am not going to. I'm pissed off, but I understand it. So our quarterback at TCU has decided to enter the portal. And I get it. He's got basically one more year of eligibility left. And he's probably looking at it as I could come to TCU, I could throw 30 touchdown passes, I could, throw for 3,000 yards, and I can get picked in the 4th or 5th round of the draft if I'm lucky. Or maybe I can go to a bigger fish, have a similar good season, and maybe I become a day 2 pick or Shutter a day 1 pick. So I get it on that level. But why in the hell do we have a portal in December? When you're in the middle of bowl season? Sitting there we watched the LSU U of H bowl game, the Houston Bowl. And were you at that game or were you watching it on TV, Tim?
I watched that one on TV.
So imagine having the football coach of the LSU Tigers, who are currently playing down on the field, and their current head coach is in street clothes in the TV booth.
That's going to be part of my scumbag conversation later.
How does that make sense?
It doesn't. I'm really ticked off about that.
But to me, this is an NCAA. I'm taking the NCAA angle of this thing because it doesn't make any sense to have the transfer portal happen before the end of the football season. And actually, it was explained to me. Now, you know what the justification is, Tim?
The school year.
Yeah, they want them to be able to enroll at the new university in January.
I
And
I
what?
I, I get that aspect of it. I do, but I don't know, Scott. Like I feel like it is fucking this thing up. So then I heard someone say you should play bowl games instead of playing North Dakota State or whoever this fucking cupcake schedule you play at the beginning of the year, play your bowl game as the first game of the year.
Oh, that was Rick Neuheisel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. Well, to me, like, and there's lots of things that don't make sense. Like the SEC schedule to me doesn't make sense. Why are you playing a random non-conference game in November? You know, you have what 16 teams in the conference. Just play another conference game.
Yeah. Now
I mean,
everybody needs a little rest or dester.
yeah, that doesn't make any sense. So to me, like I would sit there and say, and I heard this radio guy on XM say, like, just have every game be a conference game.
Yep.
Most of these conferences have enough teams. You're still not going to play everybody. I mean, the Big 12's got what, 16 teams? The Big 10's got 18 teams. The SEC's got what, 16? And I think the
So
ACC has like at least 14, if not, if not 16. So just play all the games in conference. I mean, then at least you're getting 12 games in conference. Then it's not a question, I think you're going to figure out who the conference championship. And then, of course, where the ACC can't figure out a way to get Miami into the conference championship game, even though they're clearly the best team in the conference, because we have this weird tiebreaker system that puts Duke in. And of course, Duke goes in and wins. It's just the NCAA, and it doesn't make any sense. We're making all these decisions like these guys are student athletes when they're entering the portal to get more money. Then I can imagine like Craig James and Eric Dickerson going like, "What the fuck? All we got is a Trans Am back in the '80s. These guys are getting $5 million a year. What the hell?" And we got busted for getting our Trans Am. Now these guys are getting paid, and it's perfectly legal. So make it like an NFL contract. Yeah, you can leave at the end of the football season and do the same thing with coaches. Could you imagine Mike Tomlin go like, I'm deucing out on this last game against the Ravens because I'm going to be the next coach of the Arizona Cardinals? I mean, could you imagine that? I mean,
no.
it doesn't make any sense.
No, it really doesn't. And that's why I'm gonna piggyback a little bit. Mine is ESPN, Scott, and it's specifically for what they engineered at the Kinder's Texas Bowl, right? Like Lane Kiffin is first on the sideline in street clothes, just like whatever, like that makes sense. Then they bring him into the fucking booth, right? For what was a terrible interview. Why? Like, why? You had nobody from Houston in the booth at any point to talk about anything happening at UH, right? Like we had a fucking coach die this season. Our strength and conditioning coach passed away this season. It's an incredible story the way these guys rallied around his memory and played for him. You could have had some of his family there to talk about that. You could have, Willie Fritz is a fucking coaching legend. Who stops at, Blinn, Sam Houston State, Tulane. You could have had a former play, right? Like there's 1,000 angles you could have gone to if you're going to give, the new LSU coach some time on air. We could give
or the AD
or the AD, anybody, fucking anybody. Right? How about Kelvin Sampson? We're going to bring another coach from another amazing UH program. We're going to talk to Kelvin Sampson for a little bit because I don't know if you noticed, Lane Kiffin didn't stay for the game. Lane Kiffin left immediately after his interview. So what the fuck? You could have brought anybody in just for the interview, but no, you make sure that Lane Kiffin gets some fucking time with a national audience to talk to LSU fans. Like, there's plenty of time for that. Get him on the local fucking Cajun radio network and let him do the coach's corner there. We don't need to have it on a national broadcast that just makes it completely one-sided at that point. Like, it's obvious that this game is for LSU fans. It's not for UH fans.
Yeah, what I don't get is I don't, Janet is a Tulane alum. She was lording it over on us because her team was the only team in the family to be in the playoff, even though they didn't look too good against Ole Miss.
Yeah.
But their coach stayed and coached that game. He's now he's Florida's new head coach. So I find it interesting that he stays.
Well, when you try and take your whole fucking staff and your best players with you to LSU, like, no, they're not gonna let you stay
Yeah,
around and
look,
like, hey,
I'm just,
it's
I'm
like
just
when
saying.
Michael Scott started the Michael Scott Paper Company and he's trying to like fucking snake all the and he's like whiting out like Dunder Mifflin at the top and just putting like Michael Scott Paper Company. Like that's what fucking Lane Kiffin is doing. Like he's got his playbook and he's just whiting out Old Miss and putting LSU stickers on top of it and like, hey, can you come to my office real quick? I'd like to talk to you about something.
Well, but that's what
No,
I'm
you don't need to
saying.
stay around and coach, Lane.
That's what I'm saying is that, you know, he's always been a bit of a scumbag. And yeah, I mean, he's done some things to clean up his image some, but he's still kind of scumbag. I like his introductory press conference where he sits there. My agent handles money. I don't
Yeah.
even know how much I was being paid. And it's like,
I don't know how much
oh,
my contract is. You're a fucking liar. You can tell me when you sat down to sign your contract, the lawyer didn't go, okay, on this little tab right here, Lane, is how much you make every single year.
honey,
Sign an initial right here if that looks correct.
honey, why do we have only $13 in the checking account? What happened? I thought I was getting millions. No, turns out they were giving you all that in life insurance money.
It's doll hairs, not dollars. You really got duped, Lane.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, the governor's just like, got him. That would finally work. Doll hairs.
But yeah, I'm with you on that one. I don't understand, yeah, completely one-sided on the interview. And I didn't think that the interview was horrible necessarily. It was boilerplate stuff. But bring in a U of H person, bring in the AD or, bring
Agree.
in, so obviously you can't bring in Fritz, you can't bring him in because he's, actually actively coaching the game. But
What's fucking Bum doing?
and
What's Wade doing right now? You told
well,
me
Bum
Wade Phillips.
well, Bum
So,
is
okay,
yeah.
son of Bum. What is son of Bum doing right now? Like you're telling me Wade Phillips couldn't come in and be like, yeah, I'm so proud to be a UH alumni. I think back on my time here under Bill Yeoman, and I look at what we're doing now, and I'm so proud. And oh yeah, glory days, all this other stuff. Okay, thanks for having me. Oh, that's all I'm asking for. Like, just make a fucking. You tell me you could if you call Hakeem Olajuwon up and be like, hey, Hakeem, we need 5 fucking minutes in the booth.
Or Clyde
Okay, yeah.
Drexler. Clyde Drexler's gonna
Hi.
talk about
No, 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 no,
David
no, no. I
Fields.
see. No, no, no. Okay, maybe not anybody. Maybe
This,
not anybody.
this game is so easy. It's as easy as clubbing baby seals.
I take it back. Not anybody in the booth, but but somebody like Chris Pressman would have been good. He's our AD. I think Kelvin would have been a good one to have. I think some of our former players, a former Willie Fitz player. I truly think if Coach Hester's wife or someone would have been a nice person to have up there just to honor him. But anything would have been better than fucking Bupkis, which is what we got after 12 minutes of everybody fucking sucking off Lane Kiffin in the booth on air.
Yep.
Lane, we're just so happy to have you here at LSU. Oh my God, they need you. They need you in Baton Rouge, Lane.
Well, unfortunately, they do.
All right, Scott. That is all I've got for. We've got the new puppy in the house, so I've got to go get on doggy duty. But I appreciate everybody who joined us this week on Born on the Bayou Sports. We will see everybody next week. I think we're good to go, Scott.
As far as I know. All right.
All righty. We'll be back. Same bad time, same bad channel. Born on the Bayou Sports.